All right, welcome back to the Fantasy Lab slash the Boban Labs podcast. This is Bryan. I'm here with both Justin and Jay. Justin's doing projections, so he's going to chime in every once in a while. But me and Jay are going to mostly run through the slate for Wednesday, and we're going through all 11 games. We'll kind of jump right into it. Sound good, Jay?
Yeah, sounds good. I'm still recovering from yesterday's nightmare of a slate with injuries. And
Yeah.
I had night sweats all night last night, nightmares throughout the night of so-and-so being game time decision, questionable. It really messed with me big time.
Yeah, that was one of the crazier nights I've seen as far as injuries go. It was just constant, like in the hour up to lock.
Yeah, it was pretty absurd, but hopefully tomorrow's a little bit better. So, yeah, let's jump in.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll start with the 7 o'clock games. Obviously, first one we'll talk is Cleveland at Washington, and I'll give you the line. Then I'll kick to Jay for injuries. Line is 199.5, and the Cavs are 7-point favorites. So, Jay, I'll kick to you. Just kind of injuries. I don't think there's a whole lot here, but I'll kick to you for that and your cash game plays maybe.
There are still quite a few on the Wizards side, but we can get to them after we talk about the Cavs. The Cavs don't really have any injuries right now that are noteworthy at all, and they're playing really well. They've won 4 in a row. Kyrie he looked great last game. I'm sure you were happy to see that. He's your boy.
Kyrie's my boy.
Yeah, man, you always bring it up when we say the Warriors won the ship, and you're like, well, they didn't have Kyrie full.
Get out of here.
I assign him your boy.
Okay.
Either way, he looked great, and he played 29 minutes, and I think he's at a limit. Blatt wants to keep him at about 30 minutes. So I don't think he's really in play. He's still, expensive. I don't think you can – he's 6,500 on DK. He's a lot more – he's 7,600 on FanDuel. So I don't think you can really play him at 30 minutes and feel good about it. Maybe some tournament exposure, but definitely not cash.
Yeah.
The guy I like, Washington's defense has been really bad. So I think LeBron is fine on this slate. He's still kind of not really priced too high. He's not over 10K or anything, but I don't think you have to go him, but he's definitely a cash option. And then
his minutes have been down though a little bit though.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I don't think he's definitely at the top of the small forward list on either site, but
yeah,
I like this matchup and kind of of scoring it should be for him. So
right.
Tristan Thompson's a guy I think who's been rebounding really well and playing a lot more minutes with now that he's the starter over Mozgov. And on FanDuel, he's only 4,700. I think you can take a look at him in cash, depending kind of on where the value lies and which way some of these injuries go in the morning. But I think he's an option there, kind of secure rebounds on his side, and he has that double-double potential.
Right.
Anyone you're looking at on the Cavs?
Yeah, I do like the Tristan call. I think that he's pretty solid. LeBron's not getting a ton of minutes. I think we always thought that, when Kyrie came back, that it was going to be Kevin Love that kind of took the brunt of maybe the usage and minute drops. And I think that's kind of the narrative around. So, I don't think really any of these guys, when we're talking the big three with LeBron, Kyrie, and Love, are like a great cash game plays, especially not Kyrie. But I do think Love is kind of interesting in tournaments just because, he's still played well in the last couple of games with Kyrie out. I mean, he's been over 30. He was at 39 DK points last game. I mean, which isn't great, but you're going to get him a really cheap ownership price just because no one's on him when Kyrie's, and they kind of just assume that he's overpriced and it's not going to get the usage. So he's probably the most interesting with Tristan for me. And I do like the Love-Tristan combo. Love can stretch the floor and let Tristan do his work, and they don't necessarily sacrifice a whole lot on the defensive end. So, yeah.
Yeah, I like this matchup for Love, and he's 7,500 and 7,400, so he's not super expensive or anything, but I do think he's limited to tournament exposure only.
I agree.
All three of them.
This is the third biggest line on the slate. So I am a little bit worried that this game maybe gets out of control a little bit. And we know with Cleveland, they're deep enough right now to where they have guys off the bench and guys that aren't really playing like Anderson Varejao. They can go to him if they want to in that front court. Mozzie and Tristan too. So Love is more tournament for me, and I do like the Tristan Thompson call. The Wizards are, I think, 11th worst in opposing rebounds allowed this season. So they definitely can give up some boards there. So I think Tristan's been rebounding like a madman for like a couple weeks now. I think he's averaging like close to 15 rebounds per 36 over the last couple games. So I definitely think this is a sneaky double-double spot for him.
Cool. All right, let's move on to the other side, and Jay, I'll kick it to you for injuries in 1 second. But I think that this is interesting because there's a couple like things that we have talked about on this podcast and we've written about. It's don't play guys against the Spurs, especially in cash. That's just kind of an obvious thing. And the Miami Heat have kind of been in that range as well, as far as just an elite defense and guys that we don't want to play against. But I think the Cleveland front court is kind of in that category. They're just that like this from the small forward, power forward, and center position. They just shut down guys every single night. So I think this is kind of a spot for me to stay away. But I'm interested in your thoughts because Gortat has just been kind of a value hitter and every night over this entire season, it feels like. But I'll kick it to you for injuries and then your thoughts on them.
Yeah, injuries, we got, Beal is obviously still out. Gary Neal is day-to-day. Nene will try to play with his calf injury, so we can assume he's going to suit up in this one. And Drew Gooden is out for some time with a calf injury. I'm with you on Cleveland's defense. I think not only front court, but now that they got Shump back, it's hard to kind of go people against the Cavs, where if they get hot enough, they can put Shump on them. And then, I agree, the front court with Maz down low and those big bodies they have down low, it's tough for guys. So
Tristan too,
Tristan. And so I'm off the Wizards really in cash overall. The guy we've, I think, taken advantage of lately for soft price, weak position, and minutes is Otto Porter, but this isn't a great matchup for him. So I think this is the day where you can kind of fade him on an 11-game slate. He's 5,900 on both sites, so it's still like a fine price. I think it's a good price for him the way he's playing the minutes, but with this matchup, it's fine, I think, to fade him. And I think the guy you want term exposure to is probably John Wall here.
Probably John Wall. Yeah, he's it for me. When I updated the DVP stuff on Monday, which was, I guess, yesterday, and just kind of updated for all the positions. And one thing that stood out is kind of the hardest matchups in the entire NBA DFS landscape is small forwards against both Cleveland and San Antonio. We know San Antonio obviously is because Kawhi is just amazing, but LeBron, and we discussed this off, to kind of just personally off the pod, you and me, Jay, whether it was LeBron James. Maybe he's a little underrated because we agree that he's declined a little bit on defense, but I think a lot of it's just the fact that he's just putting such a burden on guys like Otto Porter to have to defend him that it really just kills their offensive stats, which is kind of really all we care about in DFS. So I think that small forwards as of right now are kind of a complete fade for me against Cleveland, and obviously always against Kawhi as well.
And that applies even if you look at stats with OKC with Durant, because opposing small forwards are trying to slow them down all game. They don't really have time to focus on offense. So if you look at defensive efficiency against small forwards for ever since LeBron came in the league, it's LeBron and Durant, since they've been in the league, are top 1 and 2 or 3. I think 4th was the worst I saw, but in the last 9 years. So they're always the top, which makes sense because they're the main target other teams are trying to stop. So.
Yeah, you're so worried about them on the other end. Yeah,
we're worried about Shump guarding Wall for stretches here, right?
A little bit, yeah. Not a ton.
Yeah, definitely, because
not their
Kyrie's
primary
going 30 or 29.
The thing is, there's nowhere in that shooting guard. So if Beal was playing, I'd feel a little bit better here, as there's a pressure valve at least for Wall. But they're rolling out Temple.
Yeah.
He's been super cold, ineffective as of late. So they can really just throw Shump on Wall for large stretches. So I think this is the third lowest implied total that we have on the slate so far. I think Washington's 96.3 implied. So pretty comfortably off this game completely, I think.
For me, for when I look at guys like how Wall is going to do, I usually look at the big man who's going to defend him out of the pick and roll more so than his actual perimeter guy. So I assume that they probably put Shump in and then put Tristan on Gortat, and Tristan's one of the best pick and roll defenders in the league. So I think that in itself, kind of regardless of whether Shump guards him, is not a great matchup for Wall at all.
Yeah, it's tough for all these guys.
I question this spot for Wall even in tourneys because I just question the upside. Like what
Agreed. Yeah.
realistically can he put up against this defense is very stingy and solid across the board. So
You're
I'm
hoping for a lot of usage.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, the usage makes him, I think, probably like a B- cash game play, but not a tournament play because he doesn't have that big upside, you know?
Yeah. No, that's fair. I think limit your exposure for sure. Let's keep on moving. Indiana at Orlando's the next game we'll hit on. Over-under's 197, and this is supposed to be a close game. Pacers are 1-point favorites. So, Jay, I'll kick to you for injuries because there's quite a few here.
Yeah, on the Indiana side, we got George Hill, who's questionable with an illness. And if he doesn't go, it would most likely be Monte running the point again. And who would start in his place is CJ Miles, who's questionable, I believe, with a sore right shoulder. So you're looking at two guys, and Miles doesn't start every game, but if they're both out, it would be probably Monte, and then they'd go with their big lineup here. And then Glenn Robinson started the second half, but I think the guy you kind of want to look at here is Stuckey.
Stuckey, right. No, I hear you. So if that was the case, Stuckey at 4K, would he be cash playable?
No, I don't think so. I think he's still limited to tournament. I think there's still a little bit of risk here. Luckily we will know in time the status of Hill and Miles.
Yeah.
I think Paul George gets a pretty big bump here. I like Paul George if Miles is out. We talked about Paul George shooting, and I think we all agree he's a good shooter, but his percentages aren't good, but he's asked to do so much. And I think if you have Miles out, that's a lot of shots that they're missing on, and it's tough for this team to kind of score without Paul George taking a ton of shots, but that's what we target, obviously. So I kind of like him in this game.
Yeah.
Close spread, and there's going to be a lot of pressure on him to keep it close.
Yeah, no, I like him a lot too. If you kind of look at his last couple of games, I think he was starting to come out of his shooting slump a little bit. In the two games before last game against Detroit, Milwaukee, he shot over 50% and had really games, put up over 30 points in real life and had over 50 DraftKings points. And then last game, he still hit 50 DK points, didn't have a great shooting. He shot 41%. Obviously took a ton of shots, but it's against Miami, who's one of the top 2 or 3 best defenses in the league. So I don't really penalize him for that, and I think that he's still. I liked what I saw from him in the last 2 games before that. So I think he's coming out of his slump, and I think we're going to see better shooting. And I think it's a pretty good matchup for him too. So I think at 9-1, I'm definitely fine with him at cash, and I think he's a really, really good tournament play for sure.
Yeah, I agree. I also like Jordan Hill a lot for tournaments. He doubled off the bench again. He's done this so many times.
You love Jordan Hill.
Well, when you have a guy who can double for under 5K, where
and
his value
in 18 minutes he can double.
Yeah, he did it in 20 minutes. So I prefer him on DraftKings where he's power forward instead of center on FanDuel, and he's 4,600 there. So yeah, I like him in terms of exposure, getting that win along with a double bonus. I think Monte. I'm not really on him too much if George Hill is out, especially if Depot starts at the point again. It's not ideal for him, really. And I don't mind him in tournament exposure, though, if he starts at point guard. I think he has plenty of upside here. So.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think in tournaments, but kind of the matchup, and I agree that it's more of a Paul George cash game play for me as opposed to Ellis if George Hill is out. But, so that brings up, obviously, Elfrid Payton, and Oladipo and all that status. So you mind running through the Orlando stuff?
Yeah, Orlando, we got Elfrid Payton's questionable with that ankle injury. So we saw him get held out last game, I think for the first time this year. And Depot ran the point, played 35 minutes. He had a decent game. He was kind of their main guy who kept them in the game. It was not a pretty game at all on their side. But I like him again a lot if Elfrid's out. I think he opens up a good way to save money in cash. And 35 minutes for Depot at his price, you can kind of sign me up for that.
He didn't really have high usage, which was a little surprising. he was really efficient. He had 18, 7, 5, 2 steals, and shot 7 for 11. So like played really well. Just I guess the 11 shots surprised me a little bit. I thought maybe that would be up.
Yeah, I agree. I'd like to see him shoot a lot more for sure. And I think, and he still paid off his price, and that's the important thing. And I think you can go back to that if Alfred is ruled out.
What I liked about Depot there was the minute, because this one kind of got out of hand. It's double digits, and he didn't play the last couple minutes in the fourth quarter too, and he still finished at 35 minutes. So that kind of security makes him really attractive, especially if Payton's ruled out. I don't think they have much behind him with Shabazz, so I think Depot is really safe here, and I do expect that usage to come up this game after kind of a disappointing level of usage last game.
Yeah, and Fournier has. I mean, he's the most roller coaster of a player we've seen. He's kind of still, now he's back on that slump. He scored 0 points last game. He's played 3 straight under 30. So it's just so bizarre to kind of gauge his minutes here.
No, yeah. Really
My boy Hazonia is getting a little more time. That probably has something to do with it.
Finally. Yeah.
Finally. Yeah.
Yep. So one guy I'll mention, obviously, and not a crazy play, is Vooch. I really like him as a tournament play, actually. He really struggled in the last 3 games. But if you kind of look at them, they're all on the road, and they're all against really good front courts. I mean, you have Detroit last game. Drummond's always kind of a tough matchup. In Cleveland, like we just talked about, just like Cleveland just dominates big guys. He played 13 minutes in that game, only had 4 points and 3 rebounds. And then the game before that was against Washington, and Gortat, who's pretty solid defender, and this on the road tough matchups. But before that, he was crushing. He was at like 50 DK points for the last several. So I think his ownership level is going to be a lot lower than it probably should be in this in this probably pretty good matchup, I think. And
yeah, I love Vooch here, actually.
I like the Vooch spot a lot, too. They've lost the last 2 games 25 and 26 points, so you can't really take the minutes too literally. I do worry about, obviously, Skiles is a maniac, and he wants to play Dwayne Dedmon a lot right now for some reason. I have no idea why. But obviously, this being a 1-point spread, if this can remain even remotely close and Vooch can, go to or even exceed 30 minutes here, then he'll pay off handsomely in tournaments. And obviously, like Bryan said, off 3 duds by his standards, or especially 2 duds where he's played 24 minutes and 13 minutes in his last 2 games, nobody's going to be on him here. I definitely like the spot.
He's a guy I'm not even worried too much about in cash, honestly. Just kind of looking at the centers overall, and especially in his price range, we have guys who are kind of question marks there or difficult matchups. So
you really cash him like with Skiles? I don't know, man.
Yeah, I would, but I'm also a psycho. So, but Pacers aren't a good rebounding team, really, and I think Vooch has a pretty high floor in this game, really. The way he doesn't get a high floor is if this is a blowout. And just looking at the 1-point spread, Magic are back at home. I like Vooch here. He's 7,300 on DK.
Yeah, I like him too.
It'll really come down to the other center options, but I think at that price range, I prefer Vooch and cash over the other guys.
Okay. Yeah, I don't think it's a bad play at all. I think the spot here is definitely ripe and really, really ideal.
Probably regardless, he's probably more of a tournament play. But I'm not afraid of Skiles and cash.
Let's say Jay just played a lot worse players than Nick Booth did.
That's true. Very true.
Sometimes.
All right, let's keep on moving. New York, Miami is the next game we'll hit on. And there's no total on this game. New York's currently playing right now, so this will be a back-to-back for them. They travel to Miami, where they are 8.5-point favorites currently. We'll get a total probably later tonight. I assume it'll be really, really low.
You think it'll break like 220?
Yeah. I actually do wonder if it'll break 190.
Oh, no way. Yeah.
There's no way.
Yeah, no way.
Yeah.
I think you're probably closer at 120.
I'd say like 180, 185 and a half is my.
Oh, you think that low? I think it'd be a little closer to 190, but yeah, definitely really, really low. So like I've said, my mantra was don't play guys against the Spurs, and I kind of feel that way about the Heat right now. So New York, not a great offense anyway. coming off of back-to-back on the road against Miami, who's already in elite defense. I'm not really sure if I need to talk anymore. It's just stay away.
Yeah, I'm with you there, and especially with Winslow back, and I don't really like Melo in this spot at all. And really the Knicks team in general, especially playing out back-to-back. I guess the only guy for some sneaky tournament exposure could be Robin Lopez. We've said that a few times before, and I don't think he's ever really done well when we recommend him. His games are pretty they're pretty random, but like
the spots we endorse him in that make sense on paper is terrible. And then the spots that are like on paper, we do not want Robin Lopez. He does well. So
this is literally the worst spot a team could be in.
Against Hassan Whiteside, right?
Back-to-back on the road against Miami, yeah.
Well, I don't think Whiteside will play.
Yeah, he's
questionable, but unlikely.
Yeah.
Well,
they should hold him out in any case.
Right. So that's why I kind of threw out Robin Lopez there. If I'm assuming Whiteside.
The thing is that Chris Bosh isn't a slouch either. If he's going to play heavy minutes there, and
I know he's really good. Yeah.
Right. But yeah, as far as the other players on this team, would you have any term exposure to Porzingis at all, or just no?
He looked good. He's looked good. I watched some of it so far on Tuesday. He had some bounce and him the boards. Obviously, and Atlanta is not a terrible matchup either. I don't know. I think you're reaching though. Really.
I'm not really interested.
Just like 11-game slate, so there are better options out there. I imagine.
Right. It's certainly contrarian, but yeah, the biggest thing with him are his minutes. Really
yeah, they're not really almost. Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. So
yeah,
I think we're off the Knicks overall.
Yep, I am too. So Miami, you already hit on the injury news, which is Whiteside. So you're thinking that he's more out than in right now?
Yeah, he's listed as questionable, but yeah, I think they'll hold him out one more game. And Josh McRoberts is questionable too with the right knee injury. So the best signing in the recent history, I would say.
I mean, he recently said, Hassan, that he wasn't really close to running or jumping. I don't know why he's actually listed as questionable.
Yeah.
Do you need to be able to do that in basketball?
Whiteside doesn't.
That's true, yeah.
No, I mean, he thinks he doesn't. But, yeah, so, yeah, I'd be really surprised if Whiteside plays, and I think we should all treat this game as he's out. So.
All right,
and that leads me to the Knicks aren't slouches defensively either, especially in paint. So, it's tough to go these Heat guys. I mean, their offense is really bad too a lot of times. But I think you got to take a pretty hard look at Bosh here. I don't love the matchup.
But he's really underpriced right now.
Yeah, no, he definitely is. I mean, he was a great play last night? Yeah, Monday.
Yeah,
Monday.
But here I think it's a little different. He played big minutes. They're all I like this rotation recently. They're kind of all playing pretty solid minutes here. Dragic even. Yeah. Wade played 38 last game. That's huge for Wade.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree that the minutes are good. I don't love the matchup. And I'm actually even if Whiteside doesn't play, I'm a little worried about the blowout factor. Getting the Knicks on a road back-to-back, I'm a little worried that the minutes might be a little down because of that.
But here's the thing, Bryan. If Whiteside is ruled out, they have very little depth behind Bosh. I think he's, by virtue of depth alone, is going to be forced to playing 30+, even if there is blowout. Because you look at Roberts is technically questionable, but
Haslam didn't play. Yeah,
Haslam DNP. Chris Anderson had 4 fouls and I think it might have been exaggerating a little bit. I think it was something like that. And you look, Amari Stoudemire, they're not going to throw him out there for big minutes with his rehab program. So I think he has a pretty solid floor in terms of minutes, even if this one gets a little out of hand. I think he played was it close to New Year's? They got up ahead big, and he was still playing pretty deep into the fourth quarter too. So I don't mind him too much.
Yeah, I'm fine with Bosh if Whiteside is out. I was more talking about the guards like Wade and Dragic and stuff like that.
I think one little quirk here that I want to mention with the rotation that I kind of got wrong in their last game was how much Justice Winslow played. He played a lot comparatively to Gerald Green.
Yeah, he played 36.
Right. That game, I think, went to overtime too.
They played really small. Tyler Johnson played a lot too.
Right.
He's been playing a lot kind of regardless of matchup though.
Yeah, he's been getting the majority of the backup two, and then he's been playing like two in smaller lineups too. So I think in this matchup against Melo, we'll see a lot of Winslow again. That'll come at the expense of Gerald Green. So I'm off Gerald Green in terms of if you're thinking this being a blowout and him having some sneaky upside. I don't really buy that. Are you any I know Winslow's probably not a guy we're on. It's because his usage rate is so low. But any small appeal at all in Tyler Johnson if he's seeing those type of minutes?
Yeah, for me, yeah, sure in tournaments. Yeah, I mean he's at 3.7 on DK, so. Yeah, I mean, if he's seeing that many minutes, I think it's fine, especially, you're getting a not great New York front court on a back-to-back, like we've said. So, yeah, I think that's fine. Yeah, Winslow, you're right. I mean, like, how many minutes would it take for him to get to 7 shots?
200?
200.
Like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Tyler Johnson can have some tournament exposure just for really to save a lot to salary.
He's just super cheap, yeah.
Right. And he can pay off that price.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you're seeing a guy that's $3,700 and you think he has a chance at 35 minutes, in whatever way that he gets to it, whether he's part of the rotation or he's a spot start or it's going to be a blowout, he's going to get extra minutes. Like you have to be interested in that guy. So so I think he's worth tournament exposure for sure. So maybe Bosch and Tyler Johnson, the two Miami studs there. All right, let's keep on going. Detroit at Boston is the next game we'll hit on. Over-under is 201.5, and Boston is 4-point favorites from here. So, I'll kick it to you because I think there's a couple notable injuries, especially with the Boston backcourt.
Yeah, Detroit's same as always. Same starting 5 as always. You got Reggie, Pope, Marcus Morris, Ilyasova, and Drummond. They're all good. Play most of their minutes. They're the only guys we're even concerned with. For the Celtics side, we got Avery Bradley, who's likely out the next 2 games with a hip injury. So we go back kind of to Evan Turner here a lot, and even Jay Crowder, I think, open up as probably the best 2 plays on this team, all things considered.
Jay's been crushing lately. It's weird.
Yeah, it really is. I never ever go.
The thing is, he's been taking a lot more shots and getting a lot more involved in the offense. And Avery Bradley's absence definitely helps in that respect. So you add the defense rebounding potential, which what he brings, and you add him getting a lot more involved in the offense, and you have definitely appeal with Jay.
Mm-hmm. How do you rate him? I'm curious. First, a guy like Damari Carroll or something, a small forward who's got pretty solid defense and not like a super strong offensive game, but
you mean in real life or in DFS?
Yeah, real life. Yeah,
I think they're pretty similar.
Yeah, I think they're pretty similar, but I think Damari, I trust him a little bit more offensively. I think Jay can get there, but I haven't seen it consistently. Damari was really valuable, obviously, a key cog in that team last year, and I think Jay can get to that level for sure. But right now, at this moment, I'll take Damari.
I agree.
Yeah, that's fair.
We got Turner, obviously, I think is a guy on DraftKings. He's shooting guard and he's 5,600. I think you can definitely look at him here.
In cash?
Yeah, I think so. Kind of dependent on other value and whatnot. But, yeah, he played 37 minutes, and he's a guy who can kind of fill up the sheet really overall. I kind of like his floor.
Supposed to play, right?
Isaiah had his thumb wrap, but yeah.
Okay, he's fine.
He's confirmed playing for Wednesday, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, no, I like the Turner call. For sure. He is a really good DK point per minute guy. He can fill it up from a lot of areas. So I do think there's a lot of upside, especially if he's going to get a bump into minutes. We assume with Bradley. And I don't know, maybe if you think that Isaiah would be a little limited and that maybe they would let Turner play a little point, I don't know. That's probably reaching. So on Detroit's side, Jay, did you talk about them already?
Just no injury-wise. But, yeah, I think for cash games or anything, I think the only guy I'd probably strongly consider here is Drummond.
Yeah. Just
kind of against the Celtics front court. I think he can take advantage there. But even then, I think he makes more of a tournament play overall.
Okay.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I mean,
I agree with that. Yeah.
I wouldn't necessarily mind him in cash, but I don't think you can really fit him comfortably.
Yeah. I like KCP in tournaments too. I mean, he's getting he's getting
38 to 40 minutes. It's
It's this team. Yeah, he always does. And Avery Bradley's out. That helps.
Yeah. Well, yeah, especially that because Avery Bradley's out. Yeah, if Avery Bradley was in, I'd be off of him probably. But he doesn't have a great defender going against him. And, if he's getting 40 minutes, he's a guy that could get hot and go for 40 DK points. So
yeah, his price is slowly kind of been climbing too. But, yeah, for tournaments, I think he's fine. This is a good total, close game. So
yeah,
I think there are opportunities here to target really even with Reggie Jackson, I think too. I wouldn't really overlook him in tournaments at all. He can.
I'm worried about Reggie, man. I was just about to get him. Yeah, because Brandon Jennings is going to play, man.
Right.
Like
Jennings was already second units.
Yeah, and Reggie was already having troubles like cracking 30 minutes consistently just with Steve Blake as his backup, and now he's got Jennings in there, and obviously Stan Van Gundy kind of, I don't know, he sort of hyped him indirectly. He was saying that he wanted to keep him around. With the agency and whatnot. So I think he's going to keep playing close to 19 minutes or so. So I'm definitely concerned about Reggie's.
I agree completely. He hasn't seen 30 minutes in 3 straight, and it probably is unlikely he'll see 30 for the future, really. But
I don't think he's really playable tomorrow.
Yeah, probably off him in all formats then. And the guys are, Drummond and Pope, I guess, in tournaments for kind of his just really high minutes there.
Yeah. Cool. I agree. So before we move on, let's go back to Boston. So they're always kind of a frustrating team to try to figure out, where the production is going to come from. I do like the Jay Crowder, Evan Turner plays like we talked about. But the front court's always really tough to figure out. We had Jared Sullinger crushed last game. He had 36 DraftKings points, but only played 18 minutes. And I've guessed wrong on him every single time I've ever played him.
So do you like him? Do you like him more off the bench now that Kelly Olynyk's starting and Sullinger can kind of see a higher usage rate?
So before we get into that, Jay, I think there's been talk that they might switch back to Amir and Sully in that front court.
Okay.
Said on Tuesday that he liked that combination, that he wasn't necessarily going to stick with Olynyk there. So I wouldn't be surprised if they go back, especially after Sully's big game. Yeah, Sully's been mired in a extended shooting slump for some time, so it's good for him to finally snap out of it last game. I think some tournament exposure is fine with him. I think I'd rather take him over Olynyk at the moment, just because
I would rather take whoever's. No,
the other thing to note is they're going against Drummond, so Olynyk. He'll probably foul out in the first 4 minutes.
But I think Sullinger will too.
So, if I had to choose a guy, it'd be Sullinger, I think, because Olynyk is way more foul prone.
Right, but they're both kind of marginal, right? Because you're both.
Yeah, I don't really like either. In this matchup.
I'm somewhat interested in both Olynyk and Sullinger in tournaments only in small exposure if Olynyk starts and Sullinger's off the bench. But if they switch that, then I'm not interested in either of them. If that makes sense.
That's fair.
Are you're not scared by Aaron Baines?
I'm always scared of Aaron Baines. Always. Okay, let's keep on moving here. Next game we'll talk about is Toronto at Brooklyn. And the over-under here is 196. All these totals are so low tomorrow. 196, and Toronto's 6.5-point favorites. So speaking of DeMar Carroll, I'll shoot to you for news.
Yeah, he's got that swollen right knee, the same one he's kind of had troubles with this season. And as of late, I think he's questionable as of now. What do you think he's leaning more on the doubtful side, Justin?
I think he's definitely leaning towards doubtful. Just I read a couple quotes of his when he's talking about how he's doing right now, and I actually think it's kind of a longer term issue. Is what he said. So by that alone, I think he's probably closer to doubtful than questionable.
And they're playing the Nets, so I don't think they really need him too much. So, I could definitely see him sitting. But honestly, it doesn't do much for us other than frustrate us with James Johnson's cheap price and maybe Johnny start. But that's a guy.
This is a better spot, man.
It is, but I'm not sure that matters a whole lot with James Johnson.
Well, I think it's fine.
literally last matchup
It was
against
the worst he could possibly.
No, yeah, it was against LeBron. I agree.
It was like LeBron where he had to check LeBron. That was his main duty. And then he wasn't going to do anything on offense because LeBron's a good defender. So it's like literally the worst spot.
No,
and
you're
I
right.
think people were all over him just because of his price, which understandably so. But I don't know. I think at least this matchup gives him a chance at least to crush value.
Just the Terrence Ross and Patrick Patterson and those two guys kind of just James Johnson's just really not safe. So it's tough. I'm with you. Like I will forget about the last game. You have to, especially with the difference in matchups. But it's still overall, I think he's just such a volatile player that it's really hard to go him in cash. And really, I think you'd lean him in cash on DraftKings more so because
it's 3-2. Yeah,
you need to save salary.
Let me ask this. This is making any sense. I'm just thinking out loud here, but I think maybe I like him a little bit more if Joe Johnson does end up playing, because Joe Johnson's a little iffy right now. And if Johnson plays, maybe it gives the Raptors a little bit more need for a defensive wing in James Johnson. If Johnson is ruled out, then probably they go to like Wayne Ellington or someone who
won't,
who would allow Casey to play a little bit more Terrence Ross on the wing.
Well, that's the thing. They could start Terrence Ross too, pretty easily.
Yeah,
this one.
Yeah. So maybe we're only looking at James Johnson if he does happen to draw the start, which I think probably only happens if Joe Johnson does play.
Right. Yeah, it's tough. I played him in cash last night. I've played him in cash multiple times this season, and he hasn't really killed my team yet, even with his low score. So I think that says something. At DraftKings, it's really, really hard a lot of nights to find guys under 5K that are playable. So it just kind of depends on the slate overall. Like James Johnson was 42% owned last night, and I bet.
The thing is, like, it mitigates your risk a little bit because so many other people are going to be on him that he's going to destroy your team if he lays an egg. Because he's going to lay an egg for a lot of other people too. So I don't know, it mitigates a little bit of his risk, I guess.
Exactly, and I'm sure like 40% of those 42% knew he has a good chance of sucking really bad, but it's just. It's really hard to save money on DraftKings.
Yeah,
he's a guy where
his point total is so low. Yeah,
he doesn't need to get much at all, and he definitely has upside in getting that value. But it's just far in between. It's just not very likely, I guess. But I wouldn't necessarily mind him if he draws the start in this game against Brooklyn compared to facing LeBron is a lot different. So if you're struggling to save money, he's not the worst play. But I would definitely look elsewhere and plan your team without him.
Okay. So obviously the guys that are always kind of playable for Toronto, kind of especially in this Brooklyn matchup, is Lowry and DeRozan. Do you have an interest in them? I mean, really good matchups here, obviously.
Yeah, it's interesting. Lowry, I think, Larkin's a better defender than Jarrett Jack, but the size difference, I think Lowry can kind of bully him around here. Lowry's kind of back on that kind of hot streak a little bit, you could say, with, we had DeRozan go insane for a good stretch there where Lowry was really slumping. And, I like Lowry's price didn't really drop too much. He's still 8,300 on DraftKings. So I love the matchup overall. This is a terrible defensive team overall.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's a necessity to go either of them in cash. But I do like that.
In tournaments, for sure. Yeah, agreed. So kind of moving over to the Brooklyn side, we had a lot of people, because I wrote up the slate, a lot of people said, every site was on Shane Larkin. Why are you guys not? Was it because of the match?
Shane Larkin? Someone said that?
Yeah, I got
do we block him, or
why is Shane Larkin so low on your projections? But it's Shane Larkin, guys.
Yeah, that's crazy. We've seen this before.
One thing is he got a spot start, I think, the first game of the season when Jack was out. I think he only played 24 minutes. I know he played like basically the entire rest of the game when Jack went down on Sunday, I believe, in that game against Boston.
Yeah.
But you can't count on this guy to play big minutes.
They have Donald Sloan.
Right, Sloan's he's a vet. He's solid enough to where they want to get him in the rotation. So
also these guys aren't good.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
Yeah, Larkin's wearing off. I mean, this was a relatively high pick, I believe, out of Miami. Yeah.
He's a tournament only type player at this point because if he gets it rolling and in the right spot, he can definitely put up numbers.
So do you think he'll have kind of a bump in minutes, just having to D up Lowry a bit more then?
I mean, he played almost 30 minutes last game and had 8 DraftKings points.
Yeah, I mean, this is a guy I'd rather go Tim Frazier than. Larkin just does not.
He's not good. Yeah.
Yeah, he doesn't do anything, and he's definitely not cash play.
Sloan can hold his own on defense. He's pretty physical there. I think I don't know.
Yeah, he's got some size, yeah.
I'm looking at Brooklyn projections right now for minutes, and I'm probably going to keep Larkin where I had him last game, which was 28.2 minutes.
Yeah, I agree.
He was at 26.8, I think, last game, so maybe a little bit of a bump, but nothing too crazy. I'd even put on my cash game radars at his price. I mean, the floor here is just so questionable.
So low, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's brutal. And we just talked about James Johnson's floor, but James Johnson's 3,200. Larkin's like, I think 4,500. So
yeah, 45.
Yeah, that's not even.
I'm really not confident he'll even hit like 12 DK points.
Right.
Yeah. Just don't play him, man. That's dumb.
So we went over it real quick, but Joe Johnson is questionable with a quad strain. So
yeah, let's talk about some implications.
I mean, Bogdan. What do you do with him? He's pretty cheap price, and he doubled last game.
And he's getting a ton of minutes. I mean, he's getting over 30 minutes.
Yeah, I think if Joe Johnson misses, he has a very good shot at playing like 36 minutes in this one because they're very depth challenge on the wing. Wayne Ellington, Markel Brown. They don't really have many bodies here at all. And Joe Johnson actually plays pretty big minutes for this team right now. I think he's playing like 36 for a while now, just because of their depth. So, yeah. So
is he a cash play? If Joe Johnson's out, he's cheap.
Yeah, he's a consideration for me. I don't like Bogdan at all.
So where's he on FanDuel?
He's 4,400 where you have to play 2 small forwards.
I like him better there.
I agree.
47 on DK where you only got to get 1 is a little questionable to me.
No, I agree. I prefer him on FanDuel. But like, if Joe's out, he's getting big minutes.
Where's the usage going to? Obviously, we love Brook Lopez in this spot. Right.
Yes.
But
Thad.
Yeah, Dad's gonna get more involved, but he's not like a workhorse type guy. I think Bogdan will end up having probably more usage in this one than Dad if Joe Johnson's rolled out. So yeah, Bogdan's not a guy I like, period, because he's so streaky. He'll like score 12 points in 10 minutes and then do nothing the rest of the game with very little peripherals. But I think this is a spot where he'll kind of necessitate his workload to be pretty high, and at his price point, I think it's very attractive for sure.
So Jay, on DK, so Bogdan is 4.7 on DK, and James Johnson, if he got the start, would be 3.2. So who would you lean in that matchup of small forwards?
I'd go Bogdan if Joe Johnson's out for sure.
Okay.
Price, considering price. Floor. Right. Yeah, minutes. So
security. You don't have to worry about Terrence Ross.
And I think you can shave off 1,500. I don't think it's that difficult to do, really. So.
Okay. And Brooke and Thad, we all love.
Yeah, so Brooke and Thad, are they both kind of on your cash game radar for both sites?
Yeah, it's solidly on cash. Yeah, I think he's proven that he deserves to be up there. Thad is, I think he's probably more dependent on Joe a little bit for me. Give him that usage bump in addition to those rebounds.
Yeah. Same for me for Joe. I was kind of assuming Joe would be out, but
he's still questionable.
Okay. Let's keep on going. Dallas, New Orleans, the next game. 207 is the total. New Orleans is 4-point favorites, and some injuries.
Is that a weird line to you? I mean, I know the back-to-back and everything, but
yeah. No, I mean it is. I assumed a lot of it was Darren's. I assumed that they probably didn't know whether Darren was even going to play tonight when they released the line. Plus, the back-to-back kind of made it.
Yeah, the back-to-back, I think.
Skewed towards the Pelicans a little more than probably should.
Home court, yeah.
Yeah.
So injury-wise on the Mavs, we got Devin Harris, the back strain. He played tonight, right?
I think so, Justin.
Or is he checked in? I haven't really checked that game.
Yeah, let me pull it up right now. He's definitely active.
Yeah, right.
He played 8 minutes in the first half. It's at half.
Okay, so Darren started Tuesday, and then they got Barea and Devin Harris. So all three of them are back. I think that kind of.
Yeah, Darren played 15 minutes in the first half so far, and Barea played 12. So.
Okay. So I think this is a situation, even with the matchup that we love, that you're not really looking at that point guard on the Mavs for this slate.
You worried about back-to-back minutes with this team, especially because they are one of the more
they're old
delicate.
too.
They're one of the more delicate back-to-back teams, especially with Parsons and West coming off injuries. Then you got Dirk, he's been up there in age. Darren come off an injury. I think we have to kind of pay attention to where this team is injury-wise and rest-wise, and not assume that everybody gets their full minutes in this one.
Right, and if they're healthy like they are with that backcourt, that's a lot of bodies that they can just kind of divvy up those minutes. So you're not really getting a lot of values. But you got Felton, Barea, Darren, Devin Harris. It's four guys who can kind of steal each other's minutes and not really offer much upside there.
Yeah. So, yeah, I agree. Kind of not really interested in a lot of these Dallas guys who crash because of that.
So this high total. I mean, this is a really high total, and Dallas is underdogs. There's no one Parsons or Wes Matthews for some tournament exposure. I think Dirk, you can get some tournament exposure too.
I'm actually
Dirk on a back-to-back.
I mean, how are they getting this many points? A 207 total. How are they going to get that?
I joke with Jay all the time about because I do projection totals and I try to compare them to where Vegas has them, and Dallas is always at 105. I'm like, how the heck do I get Mavs to that many points or even close to it? It's a struggle every time. I agree with Bryan though. I think Zaza is the most intriguing guy out of this group by far. I think this will be kind of sloppy. A lot of rebounding opportunities for him, and Pelican centers have been pretty soft so far this season. So I like this spot for Zaza, if anybody.
Okay, yeah, I agree for sure. Yeah, Zaza's the guy for me.
So they just played too, and it was a back-to-back for Dallas as well.
Yeah.
Zaza had a
played well.
Huge game. Yeah. Dirk played 33 minutes. Parsons 34. So
have you seen Zaza's last 3 games before tonight? It's literally the exact same thing.
Yeah, Zaza's always overlooked, really.
14 points, real life points, exactly 36.25 DraftKings points, exactly the same salary.
That's pretty crazy. Yeah.
Impressive. Yeah. He's
consistent. Wow. So are we penciling him in? Well, it depends what he does tonight, Tuesday.
Yeah, I mean, true. And he's at $6K now. So I actually do think the salary bump on a back-to-back, it makes him a little less of a great play. If he was still in that 5-5 range, I think it'd be a lot better. But I
do like him though. Yeah, this is a game where he can rack up some rebounds, and
he's on pace for 12 and 18 versus Boogie.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Not bad. Well, what if he gets 36.25 5 games in a row?
That would be amazing.
I mean, the thing is, it's not fluky. The rebounds are there. It's not some fluky thing that happens. And you look at this team, Dirk's not a very good rebounder for his size. So,
if he never stops getting 36.25 points?
I know, yeah.
What if he just starts getting priced at 9,100 or something?
36.25 points.
You know what you're getting at least. I'd probably pay it more often than not. That security, hey, here's a free, or well, not free, but you're guaranteed 36.25. That'd be really cool.
I love those. I love these type of players because Biombo was the type that I rode the end of last year without Jeff out, and he was really good for stretches this year where you kind of know where you're going to get. And obviously Zaza can give you a little bit more than Biz can across the board. So I don't mind it.
Did Starbucks just throw a human being in a blender?
Yeah, I was about to comment on that. On the show with the human frappuccinos.
Yeah, our podcast is now sponsored by Boban Marjanovic
and Starbucks. Yeah.
Yeah, not bad.
Yep. So Jay New
Orleans. Okay, so Mavs just kind of more tournament exposure, and we kind of like Zaza even at 6K.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm with you guys there, back to back. So Pelican side, we got Tyreek with right knee tendonitis. He's listed as questionable, but they're expecting him to play. So we can go ahead and put him in, which unfortunately kind of hurts the Norris Cole value that we saw last time with Tyreek out, and he paid off big time.
Yeah.
huge. And then Quincy Pondexter, actually, this is a nice wrinkle in the Pelicans season. He's questionable with his knee injury. So that's someone I think that they have sorely missed. And I think he's been very
like defensively.
You think he's just going to come back and take Dante Cunningham's minutes? That's probably what's going to happen.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, he's not like – he doesn't really affect much in terms of who we can play, but I think it's a crucial part of this team to compete with his defensive abilities.
Yeah. Now here, so obviously the guys that we're usually interested in is Brow, and even I guess I want to hear your thoughts on Tyreek at 7-7.
Yeah, Tyreek facing his team on back-to-back. I think the risk for cash is gone. I don't like the right knee tendonitis. So that's something I look at, and I'm not going him in cash. But, with Tyreek's ceiling.
Tournaments,
high total, tournament. Absolutely. He's a great tournament player here. But
I agree with
someone I don't want to risk it.
I agree with Jay. Some of the rhetoric that's come out about Tyreek has been a little worrisome about sharp pain still in his knee. And that's not something I'm touching until I actually see him on the court and performing well and showing really ill effects from it. So tournament's only for me too.
Okay. So what about Norris? So would you have any exposure to Norris Cole at all? Just any chance that Tyreek kind of
tournaments?
He's interesting, man, because I think even before Reek was
he was still playing minutes.
He was playing close to 30. So I think he's still a good bet for at least like 25, 26 minutes in this one regardless. And upside if Reek is feeling the tendonitis and not as effective, or he aggravates and has to leave. So I think
and Gentry's really against starting Drew, huh?
Yeah, because I think because he plays, but he kind of plays better with that second unit. I think he wants that. I don't know.
I'd put Tyreek on the second unit personally.
Yeah, but the thing is, I think long term they want to have Reek as a starter if they're going to commit that much.
I see it.
But I understand your point regardless. But I think, I think Cole more intriguing in tournaments than Reek?
No.
I don't know. I think they're both equally intriguing, and they both
respect to their
off each other. Right? Yeah.
But you factor in the knee is right. I think in normal,
it's kind of harder to predict Tyreek going for a huge line when he's dealing with that knee injury. So Anthony Davis, I'm assuming we're treating him as only tournament play here.
Yeah. But your good one, obviously, is Anthony Davis.
Right. His price, he's over 10K on both sides. I don't think you need to go that in cash.
In cash, yeah. But definitely tournaments because he's getting Dallas in a high total on a back-to-back.
Right.
Yeah, definitely a guy you want to have exposure to in tournaments for sure. So we'll kind of move on from this game. But it seems like the play is stack Norris Cole, JJ Barea. And hope they just get into a shooting match, right?
Right.
Yeah. Okay, next game is Denver at Mini. Total 203.5. Minnesota's 3-point favorites here. So I'll kick it out to you. Apparently Moutier is going to –
Yeah, he's probable, but they're going to ease him back. Obviously,
he's probably
coming off the bench.
Okay.
Yeah, they're saying he's probably come off the bench off behind Jameer Nelson.
And there's no point to really run him in the ground or risk anything, just with the Nuggets state this season and
he's having one of the best rookie seasons ever. What are you talking about?
It's true.
Yeah, he's like having an equivalent season of Michael Carter-Williams' NBA debut, but every game. Just huge.
It's pretty impressive to have like negative win shares playing that way. I mean, oh my gosh.
It's bleak.
His metrics have been awful.
But he's so raw just watching him. You can just tell he's so raw.
Like between the 5 face palms that you have watching him, there's like one like
no, I agree. We'll see. He's young, but so for the Nuggets side, this is a high total obviously too that we like, but they're expected to be as healthy as they've been all year. Obviously, Wilson Chandler's still out for the season, but they've got quite a few bodies here. And we kind of saw last game with Will Barton, and they were on a back-to-back, and Will Barton's just been playing huge minutes there. So
yeah,
he came back down big time, and then he played 25. So who on this team would you target really in this matchup with the front court? We got Nurkic minutes up a little bit. I haven't seen.
Yeah, with Nurkic, it's just his minutes limit from 15 is going to
15
be
to
increased.
20.
Yeah,
So are we expecting Joff to kind of just fall out
Yeah.
and play 5 or so again?
I don't think Jaffa is going to play, honestly. I think the only guy you even want to look at on Denver anymore is Gallinari, the only safe one. I think you can look at Barton for sure in tournaments.
I love Barton.
Yeah. In I don't know what against Portland too. I know he looked really dead tired.
He was visibly exhausted.
And he played 50 minutes against the Warriors the night before.
And he played well too.
Yeah,
he's a young buck though. Come on now.
Yeah, he is. But that
15
game,
minutes against the Warriors on the road. Yeah, that's no one can recover from that.
Yeah. So you think? I mean, the cut was a little significant for me though. Like
I think they have too many guys right now.
Dude, that's what I'm saying.
I'm off everyone in cash. For sure.
In the cash, yeah, but I do love Barton in tournaments.
So Barton in tournaments, and I still like Jokic in tournaments. And even Jokic and Nurkic, they're good and they look good, and they can double. I think both of them can definitely double.
Well, we like Jokic and Joff together when they were playing. Something different. I think they're kind of
right. Yeah, so if we're assuming Joff is not going to play, then I agree.
Or like 4 minutes or so. Yeah, I mean, essentially.
Yeah, if they're all 3 in the rotation, then it kills all of it. But if it's only 2, then I agree.
There goes the human blender again.
That's crazy.
Man, this is a big boy they're putting in that blender. So, I think the Nuggets' health is really a factor in that. They kind of they're back to where they kind of have been, like last year or 2 years ago, even where they just have a lot of guys that you can't really trust any one guy to get you a certain amount of minutes, a certain amount of production.
It's disappointing though. Like for a young team, you want to like key on certain guys and give them consistent minutes to help them develop. You know, like I don't think it helps anybody in this situation if they're just gonna play like Jokic, Nurkic, Joff. Like
Yeah, it sucks. And then they got a lot of wing guys like Gary Harris, Barton, Foy still plays. They got Moutier coming back for a little bit. Jameer. It's just a lot of guys.
Yeah, I don't understand why guys like Papa Nicolau and Mike Miller.
He's getting
minutes. Benny Foy is playing like 25 minutes.
Right.
That.
And Fareed isn't back. He's not in a spot where you can consider him, so he's kind of just a waste for our purposes. He's
physically indestructible.
Yeah,
it's a waste for our purposes. We should tell Malone, be like, hey man, us guys in the DFS world. Just if you could just leave out Fareed, that'd be great. Thank you.
It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen in a month when he gets. I don't know. You think he has any trade value at this point? I don't even know that.
Not much.
No, I think he probably has negative trade value, accounting for his.
I think he's got some, but
I don't think you have to attach a pick to get rid of him at this point.
Yeah,
at a second round pick.
I don't think you're getting any value back though.
I mean, not really, but. Anyways, let's move on to the Wolves.
Yeah, so Towns was the play last game against Philly and got just
Okafor owns
70 fouls. He got 70 fouls in 2 minutes.
Yeah, he only played 25 minutes.
Okafor killed him, yeah.
Okafor really did just crush him. Like Okafor, did you watch the game? Like Okafor gained an extra hop in his step.
He was mad. He was mad he wasn't the first pick. Yeah.
Yeah, he'd be like, I will play Towns every night. I
think Ja gets up for those games, man.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah, so Narrative Street whenever Ja plays, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he's looked good. So,
but I feel like this is obviously a good bounce back spot here.
Yeah, but I'm limiting tournaments. I don't trust his minutes. And then the thing we got to bring up is Pekovic is 50 to play now, and obviously he lost too many. Yeah, I mean, so they got Jang, who I think will suffer the biggest hit, but it's not looking good in terms because Cat's minutes were already very sporadic. So now you throw another body in there. It's like, well, he's going to take Jang's minutes, but Jang plays well a lot. So who's to say?
He's probably going to take Bielitsa for sure. He's going to get out.
See, I mean,
but we joke. I joked about this with Jay that I was kind of surprised that Elton Brand didn't start for Ja.
Right,
it's kind of like what we expect from these teams at this point. They have no idea what they're doing, and Peck is probably gonna cut Cat's minutes to like mid-20s. Like, what are you doing? Like, literally, there's no reason for you now, present and future, to give any of Karl Anthony Towns minutes away to Peck. But I think that's what's probably going to happen.
I think Sam Mitchell's done like the worst job, one of the worst jobs this season as a coach. Just playing Tayshaun, like starting Tayshaun with this young team, these young players, like
being so
it's horrible.
Shabazz Muhammad's so much better. Yeah,
being so like playing Rubio and Levine together too.
Yeah, and this is a time where you want to develop these players, not just plug in KG and Tayshaun and have that veteran presence.
Yeah, I don't get it, man. Like we see these teams that have terrible coaches, like in LA. You know, Byron Scott's getting all over Julius Randle now.
Yeah.
Come on, man. Like, let these guys play, man. Let these guys develop.
These guys are young too.
Yeah, they're gonna have their growing pains, and you gotta let them. You know, I don't know, get past them. I can't stand it. Like, some of these guys don't know how to develop their talent.
And I really like these players. I like Wiggins a lot. I love Towns. I even like Jang. I mean, I like Rubio fine. I think they're a possibility. They're like a solid team, I think, overall. They can be. It's just – so it's tough. So we got Denver, obviously a great, great matchup for these Wolves.
Seems like Rubio and Wiggins are probably the most intriguing, but in tournaments.
Yeah, no, you don't have anyone in cash?
No. It was just sad because it's Denver.
Yeah, I'd like to get a piece of that.
I want to get a piece of Rubio. I still like him.
I think Rubio would be the cash play.
I think he is the cash play.
Okay.
I'm not solidly on him in cash, but I think he should at least be considered because he gets 10 assists in like his sleep. I think this one they won't have any problems to score. I kind of like this spot for him in general. I think he'll be, you know, I don't know, on my radar at least.
Yeah, he'll be on mine too. It'll kind of just be more of a thing if you can fit him with somewhat of an ease. And I don't think you need to move your team around or cut guys down to afford Rubio here. But I like his value, 7,100. Yeah, he gets 10 dimes in his sleep. So especially against this team, he'll have no problem there.
Yeah, I love him in tournaments though.
He had 10 times in the first quarter.
Right. Yeah, he definitely could. What was it, the other game where he had 4 in a row to KG or something?
Yeah, I think he
old school KG jumper. Yeah, that was pretty cool.
Yeah, KG was on when it started that game for sure.
Yeah, so I like Cat a lot in tournaments, especially coming off last game against Philly where he was awful, and the fact that Pekovic is likely or 50-50 to play. So I think his ownership, you'll get a pretty low ownership for a person who's facing Denver's front court here, even though I do like Nurkic's defense.
I do too. Yeah, that worries me a little bit. That's fair.
But it's still Denver.
Jenks would be a real sneaky play too.
Real sneaky. Yeah, I agree on that.
Borderline on dumb.
No, yeah. Well, was it Pete who played a guy the other night who had
in cash?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was dumb.
High stakes too.
Yeah.
All right, so let's keep on moving. I guess I'll ask real quick, Jay, before we move on to the next game. Your thoughts on J.J. Hickson in this matchup?
Well, as always, the biggest thing with Hickson is, will he start? And we get that question, I don't know, roughly 20 to 75 times a day. So we'll definitely have it on our Twitter page if you want to scroll through our mentions, like some people do, that you'll know that someone will ask if Hickson will start. So we'll try to get that news out as early as possible.
We're about like a week or two away from creating a Will JJ Hickson start Twitter handle and then just retweeting it every game.
I almost cracked yesterday with like the point. Our feed is like, we don't hold news back. So if you're asking us for Darren Williams or Kobe's status and we haven't updated their status in 3 hours, their status is still the same. There's not a lot that goes on from like morning shoot around to warm-ups before the game or so. So there's not really that window of where there's a ton of news coming out, especially on guys who like are game time. Game time decision means game time decisions.
Like at the game time.
Yeah.
Well, I think like our Twitter account maybe has like 7,500 tweets or something so far, and I think like 4,000 of them have been still questionable.
Right. Yeah, I typed that. Yeah, I didn't even have to look at my keyboard. I just had my fingers set, and it worked for hours. But I mean, I understand the need to know, though, as much as anyone. Like, I want the news just as badly. We all do. So it's something I think we get it out as fast as we can.
It's just it's more frustrating on our end because like if you're on the other end, it's just one individual person asking, right? But for us, it's like 25 people asking about the same guy. So it's just
it's fine though. Like I understand. It's all good. I'll keep saying still questionable. It's all good.
Okay. Shout out to Jimmy Butler, 32-10.
Jeez.
Tonight.
Man.
All right, let's keep on moving. Utah at San Antonio. Speaking of low sub 190 games, total here is 186. And San Antonio is huge favorite, 16 points. So I guess it's good in that favors is not like you have to wait till lock because he didn't even travel, right?
Yeah, he's out for the next 2 games.
And Gobert is confirmed out, even though he wasn't expected to.
Yeah.
Questionable. So
I think this game's a fade.
What? Jeff Withey, man? Come on.
Withey go.
Cash, yeah. Like line him up.
All right, man.
Nah, it's a fade.
Come on, Bryan. Come on. You're like the connoisseur of white big men.
That's true.
Withey belongs on the Hornets.
How is this even a question for you?
That's true. All right, I'm on Withey.
All right, but really, is there any value at all? Like Trey Burke off bench blowout. Is there anything you can kind of see in this game? Withey's been playing huge minutes. What's like?
Yeah, but he's 46 on DK now.
I'm talking. Yeah, I mean tournaments only, of course. Is he like none of these? Hood has played at least a little bit better. He's actually making some shots now, but Hayward without Favors still kind of a high usage rate, obviously, but
they're implied.
Like, is it more? I know
they're implied at 85 points. 85. I think that's
right.
the lowest I've ever seen this season.
I think so too. Yeah, for sure.
And this isn't even an Eastern Conference team. It's 85.
Yeah, I know. That's incredible. Yeah, like we got Knicks. Heat is
so literally, if a player scores like 20 points, that's like a quarter of almost like just under a quarter of his team's projected total. So like, I don't know, man. Don't play this. Don't test it. I just don't see it.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't either. You just got to figure you're getting these guys at the lowest percentages that they've seen this entire year. But
let's actually stop with the snaps with you. Let's actually get some takes here. Are you actually strongly considering him in cash, Jay?
In cash? Or what?
you played with you in cash.
Even I wouldn't play with you in cash in this game.
Come on, Jay. Don't let me down.
I wouldn't. I play a lot of guys. I don't care that they're low owned or whatever, but I also have a reason to play them, and this is not the reason. But I'm talking tournament exposure.
I think Withey would be the guy in tournament.
I think so too. I think Withey would be the guy here, but I definitely question his upside, kind of what value you're getting out of him in this. What will assuredly be a blowout. So
yeah, this could be like a Lakers-Suns game where they have like 22 points going into the fourth quarter.
Sure. Yeah, I'm totally cool just fading the Jazz in all formats for sure.
If you play Jeff Withey in cash and I don't know win like 10K heads up, Jay will pay for a month of your fantasy odds membership.
Say that again?
If you win a 10K heads up with Withey and cash, then Jay will pay a month of your fantasy odds membership.
Well, I might just snipe a game from Pete and play Withey and then get my free month.
I'm disappointed, man. Withey is a cash game play for you.
He's like a cash game player. I know what you're saying, but
no, I know.
He's not cheap enough.
It's 85. Yeah, like I said,
he's 85. Not cheap enough.
I love that we're offering a free month to someone who would play $10,000.
Yeah.
They would need $50.
No, but it negates your losses from $10,000 to $9,940.
That's true. Yeah. No, it's a great deal.
It's a
fantastic deal.
You can't afford not to play Withey in this.
Right. Yeah. For all you guys out there playing 10Ks. fire up with you.
But so I agree. Utah's kind of a fade, I guess, with the in tournament, like assuming blowout, and they play against San Antonio back.
So would you give anything to Burke?
No.
See, he's kind of the guy that I think.
I don't even think he can do anything against the second unit.
No, yeah, he probably can't.
Yeah. So it's really not it. And San Antonio's side, it's kind of the same problem, just on the opposite side. It really, the problem here is just the spread is huge.
I think it's the exact same problem, if not even more unplayable from their side, because they are so deep that it doesn't matter. Like, if Aldridge has a big first half, he won't play a second half to get you enough to consider.
Yeah, that these guys have big first halves is a problem for their overall value, because it just means that San Antonio is going to be ahead even more, and that there's even more probability that they'll sit more minutes.
Right. Tony Parker has been ruled out, right? I saw that.
Yeah.
Okay, so I mean, even with Mills starting, I still don't think there's any value really.
Do you think this is a spot where Tim Duncan rests? I think this is definitely.
I think it's possible,
a prime DNP spot for Tim Duncan. Meaning,
our boy. I mean, I'm sponsored.
Brian,
right, so yeah.
Brian, we're going to take you off this podcast right now. Did you really? Come on.
Oh, no. All right, Jay, have your moment.
Well, I would like to extend Justin's offer that he had before. You will get a free month. This is like factual. We're not toying with you or anything. You'll get a free month if you take down a GPP with Bogdanovich.
It has to be a GPP.
I got Boban in my head.
Boyan.
Yeah, they're all the same.
Yeah, what are you doing?
I'm out, man. My name's.
Yeah, it has to be a GPP.
Just literally turn around, Jay.
All right, if you someone won like a
satellite,
a satellite. Yeah, it's gotta be a GPP. But what's like the minimum? Because I mean, they're probably like, I don't know. I think the way to do it personally is like play the baller or something.
It has to be a main slate GPP. I'm not paying. I'm not giving you for like.
Drop that 1K buy-in for the baller. This is my suggestion. Go Boban, play the baller. Because Boban is a baller, and he'll carry you to that victory. You'll win like
that would be a baller pick, yeah.
25K or whatever off a K, which is cool. But more importantly, you'll get a free month.
More importantly,
right?
Yeah, the math, it works out.
You win that free month, and you turn that 25K with the free month. And you ride Boban, of course. Yeah, that's something. I don't know. That's interesting. I could definitely see Duncan sitting in this game, but it's an island game for them, so there's not like the need really for them to sit him. But either way, though, I think Boban he'll play a little.
I think it's fine in tournaments regardless.
No, I legitimately, that's not even a joke.
Yeah,
I agree. Yeah.
Boban in tournaments.
What about Jonathan Simmons?
Yeah, I was just about to mention him. Some slight exposure. He was crushing in limited minutes. I think he scored like 13 points in 12 minutes or something in the first half.
Yeah.
I don't mind him at all, obviously.
Yeah, it's just minutes with all these guys are so capped.
Yeah.
Going back to Utah for no reason, I probably would side with Jay in terms of preferring Burke in tournaments to Jeff Withey, which is just because I question what Withey's going to give you for a steal.
Right.
Burke can actually do some things. And,
I question Burke's upside too, though.
I do. Obviously, no one's going to have great upside in this spot, but I'm just relatively between.
Yeah, if the Spurs are up 35 in the fourth quarter or something, I think they're not going to focus too much on defense. That's the thing with Pop. He'll yell at his in the huddle just like it's a 2-point game versus a 35-point game. So
yeah, because that means Burke would be trying to like score layups on Boban.
Ooh, yeah, and that's impossible. Like, it's factually impossible.
So fade.
Yeah. We've talked about this game too long for a game that means nothing other than someone getting a free month when they take down the baller.
So it means everything. All right, so let's keep on moving. Charlotte at Phoenix. Total here is 206, and not bad. But yeah, we talked about this line kind of off the pod, and it was pretty intriguing. It's only 2.5 to Charlotte. Phoenix, who's like they're the worst team in the NBA, right?
Yeah, I think so. I don't know.
I mean, they're like in the running at least.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, absolutely.
The Hornets would be favored by double digits easily if they had
Batum.
Jeff Whitty.
Oh,
Wow.
Oh, I agree.
What are you talking? Get out of here, Batum, with your sensible takes. I'm going for the whole thing here.
Yeah.
Yeah, we need more white guys. Yeah, not French guys. All right. Yeah. So Charlotte. Yeah. So give us all the injury stuff, Jay.
It's just Batum, who's questionable. Okay, never mind. Jeremy Lamb is doubtful with wrist and hip injury.
Yeah.
So we can assume he doesn't play. Jeremy Lin's questionable with an ankle injury.
Yeah.
And Batum is questionable. It's looking like a game time decision.
Yeah.
So we might not know if he'll play in time, is what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
It's certainly possible. In that case, so let's kind of go through both scenarios. So we obviously like the Hornets in this spot, I'm assuming, right?
Yeah.
Especially considering Lamb's out. Lamb played big minutes last game, and he had a pretty high usage. So this opens up things quite a bit. This is your team. Who's your favorite kind of guy to target in cash?
That's the problem is like it opens it up, but like who's it opening it up for? The answer is really no one other than Kemba and Jeremy Lin if he plays.
Yeah, I think those two.
Yeah, like I'm not interested in PJ Hairston, like even if he got 900 minutes.
Yeah, if he's the only guy on the court, yeah.
Yeah, still couldn't hit value. Yeah, and I do think there's some value in the front court as well. But if you're backcourt, I do think Kemba and Lin are both good plays. If Lin plays, but yeah, the kind of the shooting guard, small forward side of Charlotte's not playable right now.
Yeah, I agree with that. So, yeah, so Lin, it looks like he played pretty big minutes here if we're assuming Lamb is out and if Batum doesn't play. What about if Batum plays? We've seen this like 3 times now or something where he's been questionable game time decision or whatever, and then he plays 40 minutes. So I think you kind of got to have a little bit of tournament exposure to him in this game.
Yeah.
I would.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, if you think that there's a chance he's going to play, this is too amazing of a spot to not have the tournament considered for him.
I mean, the thing is, like, so he was not expected to play, like, Monday night, and then he got upgraded to questionable on Tuesday. And some beat writers like Rick Bonnell was saying, like, he wouldn't have been upgraded to questionable if they didn't expect him to play. So I probably lean at this point that he's probably more likely to play than not. So, yeah, we'll see. But I think this is a good spot for him for sure.
So the Suns have given up 108 of their last 9. And they've lost 9 straight. They're horrible. This is one of the best defenses we want to target here. So let's assume Batum plays and Lamb doesn't. So that's Lin in the second unit with no high usage to kind of bother him.
Yeah.
Does that kind of make you like him more?
I think he's cash playable regardless.
So
I actually prefer him more as a second unit guy because
if Lamb's out. Yeah.
That Lamb there, like
right, that's a lot.
Who else is going to take shots? Lamb actually,
garbage.
Yeah, Lamb's actually taken a good chunk of usage from Lin. So I actually prefer Lin with that second unit.
Yeah, and I like Lin on FanDuel. He's 5,300, and you got to start 2. So I don't think it's bad play.
I'm fine with it.
Yeah, but I think he's just as fine if
he's with the additional minutes. I mean, yeah, I agree. Probably,
he's going to see an increase in usage either way because they won't have Batum, they won't have Al Jefferson. So
and he would still play in the second unit.
Right. Yeah.
True.
Either way, it might cancel out overall because if Batum's out, he'll have a more secure minutes and.
Yeah, I think it's even. He's a great play either way. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think he's a solid play. I think it's hard to kind of fade these Hornets guys in this matchup, I think.
Yeah. So back our front court guys for Hornets. Jay, where you at?
I don't like
Tank, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, Haas is back, and Haas saw 20 minutes. So we got Zeller, Haas, Kaminsky. He's probably the guy that I would have some term exposure to, though.
Yeah.
Oof.
No.
But probably no exposure, really, to his front court.
Yeah, I mean, they're all splitting minutes, and they're all too priced up right now. I mean, Zeller is up at 5.2, Marvin's 4.7, Frank's up at 4.5. They're just, like, all probably fair value, which doesn't really help us. that much. So if one guy were out, I think it would bump all of them up to playable. But
Right, that's the thing. They're all there now, so it's really hard to play any of them.
Yeah. So moving on the other side, I honestly have no clue what to do with Phoenix, just because they're just awful.
Well, they've bounced their starting lineup around a few times too lately, but it looks. Who knows what Hornacek will do with this team? They've lost 9 straight. You got to do something. So are we expecting to see the same Knight, Booker, Tucker, Lure, Chandler?
Yeah.
Most likely.
Yeah, I would expect it because especially with Marvin Williams, Lure makes more sense.
Right.
Yeah. With this team, there's a couple of things here, right? There's one that they're tied to a horrible offense. 2, that the minutes are all over the place from game. And 3, that I think this can, even with the lower line, this can become a blowout pretty easily with how bad this team is. So I just think there's no security whatsoever and very little upside whatsoever with this offense. So I don't know, man. Like TJ Warren was the hot ticket for a little bit, and he didn't play them. I don't know. And then are you really on Brandon Knight here? Probably
I'm in
not.
tournaments.
He's 6,700 on FanDuel.
Yeah,
if we're assuming this game's close, like he's had 2 huge, big enough games in a row to pay off that price for sure.
Yes, yeah, FanDuel. He's looks nice.
I think he's in play on FanDuel.
Yeah.
How much is he on DK?
7-4.
Yeah.
Yeah, 7-4.
67. I think.
Yeah, that's fair.
I think that's pretty good, really.
Yeah.
For anticipating a close game, which is hard to do, but you look at the 2.5 spread, and if Batum's out, I think it's fine at home.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's you're
like you look at this offense, it's a joke, and Knight will have his hand in everything. He'll have to score a lot, really.
He did so much late game padding against the Lakers.
Yeah,
God.
that's definitely worrisome. Really though, kind of off this team overall. Lure's minutes are a joke. You can't really go him, and TJ Warren, maybe some tournament exposure to Teletovic getting minutes. It's kind of all over the place.
I honestly don't mind some tournament exposure just because narrative is that they're really bad, which is true. So you're going to get all of these guys at low ownership, and these guys are still getting high minutes.
Are they?
Not like TJ Warren or Lure or Teletovic or Chandler or Len.
Define high minutes, though. Can you pencil in anybody for 30+ outside of Brandon Knight?
No. I can't.
I can't either. I don't know where PJ Tucker's minutes going to be. I don't know where TJ Warren's minutes going to be. I don't know Lure, Mirza. I think Devin Booker.
I think Devin Booker would get over 30.
No, I think so too. If this is close, I think he has a good shot at that. But outside of that, we've talked about Booker before.
He's Clay,
right, that he doesn't do a lot in terms of supporting stats. So I don't know.
Right. Yeah, for me, it comes down to Knight, and I think he's a fine tournament play, and I don't think he's a horrible cash game play at 6,700 on FanDuel.
Agreed.
Okay. Let's keep on moving. Memphis at OKC is the next game. We got 2 more games. Total here is 199.5. Oklahoma City 5.5-point favorites right now. Obviously, big news here that shapes not only this game but the entire slate is Kevin Durant. You know anything more about him, Jay?
He's listed as out. It's not 100% official, but he shouldn't play in this one.
Okay. So obviously, the question really is just,
are you going to go Westbrook and Ibaka too?
Yeah. But let's start on Memphis before we get to OKC.
Right.
So, any guys interest you on Memphis here?
Did you see Zebo's game last game? That was incredible.
Off the bench, right?
Yeah, that was huge. Classic Zebo.
You gotta pump the brakes though with Serge.
Portland's front court, yeah. So big difference there. No, I'm not really on anyone on the Grizzlies.
I'm not either. Yeah, they're not super.
We got Matt Barnes back from suspension. You got Tony Allen playing decent enough minutes to limit Barnes. They hurt each other. So
Conley has
Chalmers and Conley. Yeah, Conley. Chalmers doesn't play enough really to offer too much upside. And
I'm never hanging my hat on Jeff Green ever.
No. and Gasol, this isn't the best matchup for. So
yeah, I think they're kind of they're a fade here for me too.
it's pretty hard to go.
This is against the Thunder though, guys. With this defense, it's hard to.
Or just a knock on the Grizzlies' offense, but
Yeah, I agree with you.
and just kind of the health that they have right now.
Yeah.
So yeah, but I agree. This is OKC's deep. Who's your favorite tournament player on this team?
On Memphis?
Yeah.
I probably go Zebo.
Zebo, yeah.
I think because he'll play a little bit more.
Yeah, he'll play heads down low, yeah.
Even Blender's going on still. Yeah, I think he'll play a little bit more off the bench in this one against a big four. So
Jeff Green revenge game?
No, that's been so long forgotten.
They've played a couple. They've played where it's like
there's nothing.
It's like the 12th time they've played since he's been there. 12 revenge game.
It's like Kobe Bryant revenge game against the Hornets because he was drafted by them. Or like 19 years ago.
That's like next level narrative.
Yeah.
Like on everyone's 10th revenge game or something, they outperform.
We need trends for that.
All right, we'll work on it. Yeah, I don't think Memphis is exciting other than tournament plays. Zebo is probably the play. Gasol is not in a great matchup, but he's 6'9", so if you want to go that route.
Chalmers and Cash, though, right?
Of course, yeah. So OKC, so Westbrook obviously didn't have the game we expected him to have shooting the ball. He shot only 26%, only had 17 points. Still put up 51 DK points because of rebounds and assists and everything. So I don't think – I'm not really sure where the public's going to be on him. I assume that they're going to be just as high.
I don't think just as high.
Okay. I think that you have to be just as high.
It's crazy that he just came off a 17 and 15 game and we were disappointed.
Yeah.
Yeah, you were, but he's 10-7 on FanDuel and
that's easy for me.
7 turnovers.
He's 11-6 on DraftKings. I'm not paying that.
I mean, but if you look at his games without Durant,
I saw them all. I tweeted it from the main account. I went back 43 games.
Yeah, and even when
everyone.
Even back in November when Durant was out for that like 6 or 7 game thing, Westbrook was up at like 12-6. He was 1,000 more, and he was still crushing value by 10 points.
He was 12-6?
He's 12-6, and he was still
I remember seeing
value, and he was playing in bad matchups. He had a game. I thought it was against Memphis. Here, I'll look it up while you talk.
All right. Well, I think he's in play on FanDuel for sure. FanDuel has just generally a looser salary cap anyways, guys where you can afford. So 10-7, I think Russ is fine in cash, and I expect him to probably be 50% owned, 45% owned, I would guess. On DraftKings, though, that's different. It's hard. Like, you're going James Johnson-type guys to get that in. And, while I understand Westbrook's floor is incredible without Durant, it still kind of hurts your team overall if you're paying 11-6 for a guy on a site that has pretty tight pricing anyways.
I agree with you conceptually, Jay. The thing is, like, his implied is like 52 at 11-6, and that seems pretty easy. I think he's pretty safe for 60 in this one. So going 8 points above I put you as one of the top cash game plays in any of our models. So
yeah,
I agree with you that if this slate doesn't shape up to where there are enough bargains, then it's really hard.
Right.
But if there are some values that pop up, then I don't mind that at all. I think on FanDuel, he's kind of a chalk must play.
Yeah, I think FanDuel is completely target him for sure. DraftKings, he went up 900 on DK, and he should and all, but I think it definitely depends on the value elsewhere to kind of make up for his price. Yeah,
so Durant was out in their first game this year against Memphis. So Russ played. He was at 12-2 when he played Memphis last game. So that was implied of 54.8, and he had 72 DraftKings points.
He was 12-2 this season?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Yeah, DK, that's crazy.
DK's on November 16th. It was on a road back-to-back a road back-to-back at Memphis. He was 12-2, and he put up 72.
No, I remember this because we potted the game before this, and we previewed that slate, and we were both like, "This is a terrible spot for Russell Westbrook. We're not going to play him at that point, 12-2." And then he crushed value.
Yeah, in all of these games recently with Durant out, even though he's gotten up to mid-12s, he's been at least 60 DraftKings points in pretty much every game, but like one.
Yeah, I get that he's valued. It's just
hard to make a roster. I get what you're saying.
Yeah, it might be hard. I don't know. Like, yeah,
So
if you find plays.
The thing is, what Jay is saying is that by playing Russ at his price, you're sacrificing floor.
Yeah, you have guys, James Johnson type guys, who are
right. So there's a lot of downside. I think you have to look at guys like, I don't know, like
Boban,
Devin Booker, or like Waiters or Marcus Smart or something like those cheaper guys who have a low floor. So I agree with Jay. You just have to, I don't know, you have to play around with it and see if you can fit him.
Yeah, like I'll say, I will try to play him. He's a guy I'm putting him in first on my when I'm making my initial DraftKings team. I'm putting Westbrook in first.
See if you can do it.
I'm gonna go over every combination and hypotheticals on questionable players. If they're out, I could play this cheap guy. If they're in, who am I gonna play to get Westbrook? Kind of mess around with it like that and build your Westbrook team, and then go ahead and build lineups without Westbrook and kind of compare the two. That's really the way you got to do it. I think FanDuel though, you can definitely play Westbrook. And yeah, I might have been a little low even on that 50% in double ups. He'll probably be higher.
Yeah, I mean, I do think there's a lot of good guys in that like 5K range. I mean, we talked about Lynn before. I know you may not want to go to like James.
Go like all 5K
guys.
Yeah, right. So it's tough. DraftKings is tough. It's been tough kind of all season, really, fitting in these studs. So it really, you'll have to see a lot of value there.
Yeah. And that's kind of it for me. Serge was, I think, a nice play last game. I think it's a little points chasey here.
Yeah,
I don't mind it too much. I think
in cash,
he's bored. He's
cheap though. Like he's a good price. I think he was an easy play last game. I think it's a little more difficult this game with the matchup, but I still think
FanDuel at 6,500 on FanDuel.
Yeah. I mean, so
that's really solid.
And his history without Durant is strong. So
yeah, he did see 17 shots. You're right.
Like if we're not going to see a lot of Waiters Island, like the usage has to go somewhere, and it's going to have to funnel towards Rust and Surge. So I don't know. I feel really comfortable with him on FanDuel at 65.
Yeah, like you could go Tristan and Ibaka as your power forwards and opens up some good money to definitely fit Westbrook in there.
Yeah.
Okay. That's true.
And then absolutely don't play Waiters in cash. Yeah. Really ever.
Waiters or Withy?
Withy, man, for sure.
Withy against the Spurs?
Yeah, I'd go Withy in cash against Spurs over Waiters in cash. Yeah.
All right, let's move on. We got one more game here, and we'll finish up. The Clippers at the Trailblazers. Total is 205.5, and the Clippers are 4-point favorites here on the road at Portland. Any really notable news here, Jay?
Wes Johnson's probable with a foot injury. Paul Pierce was out last game for rest, for old age. So we'll likely see him back, and I believe we can expect Pierce to start, sending Wes to the bench.
No one knows.
I mean, I'm expecting it, but it doesn't really do much overall.
It doesn't matter, yeah. Yeah. Okay, so start on Clippers side. Any of these guys cash playable? I mean, obviously a pretty good matchup here against Portland, and the spread's actually pretty close.
I like Chris Paul a lot, and I still like DeAndre a lot.
Yeah.
Both of them quite a bit, really.
Yeah, DeAndre, you think that his price would bump way up with the Blake news, and it has gone up a little bit. I mean, it's gone up like 800 in the last couple of weeks, but I still figured it would go up a lot more than that, honestly. I mean, he's at, 7-8 on DK, which seems like really easy against Portland.
Yeah, and he's 7-9 on FanDuel. So, yeah, he's definitely an option for me. And I think Chris Paul is too if you're really missing that like 2,000 on DK to get to Westbrook.
Yeah.
And you just can't make it work. I really like this spot for him against Lillard, especially one of the worst defenders, point guard defenders, who probably isn't 100% after plantar fasciitis. Plantar fasciitis just eats you up.
Yeah. I'm not sure it matters whether he's 100% or not when it comes to defense, but that's a good point. I think Chris. I think Chris is an amazing tournament play just because he's like the easy pivot off Westbrook.
Yeah, and even price considering I lean Westbrook still, even on DK with the much bigger price difference, but Russ just has that ceiling that's like basically, or the Russ's floor is like, I don't know, not that far off CP3's ceiling.
Ceiling. Yeah, no, you're right.
So, and then Russ's ceiling obviously is absurd. So I'd still go Russ in cash on DK over Chris Paul.
Agreed. Is there anyone else on the Clippers side? I mean, are you interested in Redick here at all?
Not really. No, him and Jamal. I like targeting those guys if one of them is out or banged up, or they got a couple of guys maybe missing. I mean, they got Rivers playing minutes. They just got a lot of bodies here that, I mean, outside of Blake, of course, but I don't know. This is a really good spot for them. This is a close spread that, like, we can expect these guys to play the fourth quarter.
Yeah. No, you're right. That's kind of it. It's really just Chris and DeAndre for me, and a little Cole.
No Austin. Yeah, I was gonna say Cole Aldrich. No Austin Rivers tournament exposure.
Cole is crazy. I mean, he puts up like 25 DK points in like 4 minutes.
He has by far been like the most tilting player for me.
He had like, I remember that stretch, man. He had like 4 steals in like 2 minutes.
Yeah, he gets like 10 steals, 8 blocks, 6 points, 6 rebounds.
He was the catalyst when the Clippers bench went on that run and then put that game out of reach. I think it was against Orlando.
It's happened twice. It's happened 2 times where I felt like a lot of exposure to Chris Paul and DeAndre, and then
he ruined it.
Come in.
Colby
just crush and put it just enough, like 16-point lead, to where Doc's just like, I'm gonna let my boy run the rest of the game.
Cole is the DFS.
Cole is the anti-hero. Yeah, he's he's probably my least favorite player now.
He's too good. Yeah, he's like a mini Boban.
Yeah, I was just saying he tries to be Boban out there with his per minute stats, and I don't know, man. Hopefully they play in the playoffs.
Aldrich Labs.
Boban teaches him a few lessons.
Oof. Yeah, agreed. So on Portland's side, and these guys cash playable. Obviously, not a great matchup here, even though the line is a little bit closer.
No, I don't think anyone's cash playable. I think you're done with McCollum, and his price is still high. With Lillard back, you can't go him.
Yeah.
And then Lillard, I don't think you can go him against Chris Paul for sure.
Yeah.
So and then the front court has really been bad lately.
Yeah.
Really, really bad.
A lot of bodies there too.
Yeah, they're not like
20 guys in that front court. Like
Plumlee's been bad. Myers-Leonard's been really bad.
Davis, Vonleh.
So I do think Amino is really interesting if like you can anyway predict his minutes, which is impossible.
It really is. He doesn't even have that big of a minutes upside. I don't think. I don't think it's likely he plays 29 plus in this.
Yeah, I think we just saw his upside last game.
Yeah, that's fair.
The 15 and 14, but
yeah.
So I mean, do you like Lillard or McCollum in tournaments?
Yeah. I go CJ in tournaments if I had to pick one.
I don't really love either one that much. I mean, like minimal exposure in tournaments, just to like cover your.
I'd go CJ too in tournaments.
Just pick the guy with a better
matchup.
I just stack them probably. Okay, I guess that'll do it. Cool. Do you guys have any last words?
Yeah, I can't believe we previewed the Mavs without mentioning JaVale McGee. Had 2 incredible dunks tonight on his way to a 13-10 line off the bench.
Wow. That's pretty big. I got some last words for that guy who got chopped up all night in the Starbucks you're in. Rest in peace.
True. Yeah. All right, we'll end it on that note. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching.
Thanks to our sponsors, Boban Marjanovic, and of course Starbucks.
Yeah.
Yep.
As always, yes. Thanks to our gracious sponsors, sending all the money. All right, yeah. Good luck, and we'll talk to you guys Thursday for the Friday slate.
Yep. Good luck, guys.
Good luck, guys.
Are you out?
I don't know.
It still says recording.